So, Greg and Antonia, you guys are awesome. I really enjoyed working with you. But for the people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Okay. Well, so Antonia and I are partners forever, and we're founders of the Self Health Institute. And we create online programs for people to be able to learn how to do healing so that when they get in a mess with their business or life or relationships, they can get out of that mess and kind of move on gracefully. And so we market to people online who get to know us through the trainings and the message that we're offering as we're going through our thing and trying to support people and move them down the line.
Awesome. So, talk to me a little bit about like when we started working together, you guys had already been doing webinars, you had done some live events, you'd done some virtual events. Um, did you think, I mean, obviously you paid me and we started working together, but did you think that I was going to be able to help you? Were you skeptical? What were your thoughts coming into it?
Well, we were pretty confident. I mean, you came very highly recommended to us from Alina Vincent, and because of what she said, as well as what we saw the changes in her webinar when you worked with her. And so we were like, oh, we could use some of that too. Even though we have the webinar that's already converting, we knew that it needed a lot more help, and that we just knew that there was a lot more open loops and a lot more things that we could add to it that we weren't sure how to do. So when we came to you and started talking to you about that and you clued in really fast, that's when we were like, no, he can do it. And we're very excited about working with you. Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, the thing that I was really aware of when we started working with you, and you made this obvious right away, is that a lot of the content that we had and the stories that we had really didn't go together. It's like we'd say something and people would think, well, that sounds interesting, but why did they say that? Where's that coming from? So it was a lot of that, like, good info that we did, content that we had offered in different ways in signature speeches, and it just didn't fit together. And we tried many times to put it together, many different versions, and it worked, but it just was not converting at the rate, and it wasn't as interesting in a way that we wanted it to be interesting for people.
We knew it could be a lot better.
Well, I think it's hard. I mean, something that I hear a lot is it's hard when you're really close to something. It's hard to be objective,
Yeah.
especially when it's your story and what you're selling and testimonials. Like it's really hard. What were one or two of the things that I did? I mean, we worked together for a couple months. What were one or two of the big things that helped you really move the needle, helped you feel comfortable, and ultimately led to more conversions for you?
Yeah, I think the first and primary thing that you did is you helped us really hone into a better origin story, hero's journey, so that we could use it across the entire webinar, and that it really made more sense for not only what we were selling, but for how we're feeling right now. So we were really able to connect into our journey and how it impacted us right here, right now. Even though it happened, previously, we're still really connected to it. And I think that also made it so that we were able to help our people connect into that. And that's what they connected with us, in a deeper way, because we were honing into the hero's journey, having those open loops that we could go back to. And I mean, I think that was really a huge thing for us.
Yeah, and I think probably the most important thing for me when we worked with you was the feedback. So we would, be looking at content of slides and how our teaching points would go together with the story that we were going to interweave with that, and your ability to give us words. I mean, literally to say, this is what you would say. And it really is what I would want to say, but I didn't know how to say it. And what was neat is that we'd get that feedback from you after you'd listened to our versions of the webinars that we were creating, and I'd be like, wow, that's exactly the way I want to say that. And of course, I'd edit a little bit so that it would be my words instead of your words. But it was so much more potent than what we had done before, where it was kind of like a talking head version. And
Right.
you helped us to put it into language that was just like you're talking to somebody.
I think that was the second hugest thing is making the languaging more approachable and more realistic, more casual, so that it didn't sound like we were reading off of a script or, I tend to write kind of formally. And so you were really able to help us be more approachable about how we approached it and then how we were able to convey the information to everybody.
Cool. One thing I specifically want to ask you about, because a lot of people, when they kind of see, they're like, I need a better offer. You guys, when we got to your offer, I think one of the first things I said was like, we got to fix this, because it's like, it didn't even make sense. You had a piece in there that was like, I was like, why is this here? And Greg, I think your answer was, well, because we want to sell it, which there's nothing wrong with wanting to sell something, but we tied it together. We left it there. We just made it part of it. But I would love your thoughts kind of around like the offer part and
yeah. So it was really interesting, because when you first looked at the offer, you were like, oh no, this just doesn't work. Well, and I thought, what do you mean it doesn't work? Those are great. Those are great things. That's what people want. And you said, but they don't know that. They don't know why they need it. And when you put it into context of why they needed it and made it so that it went from one part of the offer, so that from the main program that we were selling, and then the support that they needed to really be successful in, doing that program, then it made total sense. It was all the same pieces. It just made sense. And the way that we were able to relate it back to the teaching points and the testimonials that we used, it gave people that foundation, and it grounded the offer in all of what they'd just learned and what they'd experienced through the masterclass.
It was really about the framing, framing of it that we couldn't see, because we're like in the forest, can't see the forest for the trees. And you're like, oh, well, that needs to be reframed so that it all flows together. And we were pretty blind to that, really.
Well, it's all about creating those open loops and seeding the things in the front half, and then having it like, oh, here it is. Which is, it's one of the funnest things for me to do, to like put that stuff together. So talk to me a little bit about how it felt performing it, how it went. I know you touched on, like, you used your hero's journey and some of the stuff that we worked on in your live event. Then, what was the response from people when they went through your webinar? And just in general?
Yeah, I think it was really positive. We had people who'd stay on through the whole webinar, and then they'd stay on at the end, and they just kept hanging. And as long as we kept talking, they kept asking questions. And when they didn't have a question, we'd say, so how about this? And they'd keep listening. And the conversion rate was double what we had before. So all of a sudden we went from a very good conversion rate of around 26% to a conversion rate of over 50%. And what was really cool is that we took that same concept, and when you worked with us in our offer for our live event, it got even better. And
I want to first interject that you said, oh no, you have to raise your price of our year-long program. So we paid for you just with that, with raising our price. You paid for yourself. So that was like a amazing, awesome situation. So that didn't even go against any more conversions than we've ever had and all of that stuff. You had said, no, you got to raise the price. We did it. And it was like, bam.
So I appreciate that. And anyone listening, it's like, oh, I'm just going to go raise my price. first off, you guys were a little bit scared to do it. You definitely gave me a little pushback, but we also worked on how to lay out the offer in a way that made the price justified.
Yeah.
And that's the real key. Like anyone can say, pay me 100K. Well, why? Why am I doing that? We got it to the point where they were going to pay for your services without thinking about it. You said yourself, like everybody wanted it. Some people just really couldn't afford it, but everybody wanted it and agreed that it was a no-brainer price to do it. But the price was actually more, I think 25% more than what you were charging.
Yeah.
33% more.
Yeah.
There you go. So, and that,
And
I mean,
it was
that,
not a question. We had people people that were relatively cold with us just being like, okay, here's your money. Here's 10K. No problem.
what was your response in your head?
It's like, what the? Well, we were happy because it hit our, it hit the stretch goal for us really. And we weren't and a lot of it happened with some kind of cold traffic that we had, and we were able to get in there and they came to the live event, and because of all of it and the offer, they were just like, we're doing this. It was like there was no question. And so we were overjoyed. I mean, it's kind of changed how we feel about how we can make money and doing the events, and raised our sights up to what we can really do.
Yeah.
So
and
it's exciting.
it was super helpful how you helped us with the flow of the event.
Yes.
And we showed you the slides, and a number of times you went, whoa, wait a second. So that's not one slide, that's 3 slides, and you have to put a picture on each one.
Totally.
So it's like your expertise at just knowing, and we always say, what do you do that's just like breathing to you? Well, I have to say that this whole creation of decks and offers and the way that you present slides and the way that you talk about things, it seems like it's just like breathing to you. I mean, you never have like a hesitation of this. There's never like a question of what you do. And you're able to just say it, which means that we can then kind of write it down and practice it. And it actually, over the time that we worked with you, I feel like it all became natural to me.
Yeah. And
Good.
The other huge point that you helped us with was, for every new teaching point, have a story. And that was huge. And that really brought people closer to us. That really made, the connection really solid. That was so important. We didn't have that at all.
So thanks a lot.
Yeah.
No problem. It was my pleasure. You guys were great to work with. I mean, you guys were great students. You showed up every week having done the stuff. And some of the stuff, I mean, it's not super hard, but it's work, right? I mean, you got to build slides. You got to work on stories. You've got to actually, in order for me to be able to critique you, you have to do the webinar. You have to work through it, but you guys were great students. I'm so proud of you. I knew your event was going to go well, but I was overjoyed when you guys said, you exceeded your goal, and exceeded the stretch goal even, which was awesome. So I just want to say thank you for being awesome students. Thanks for doing this. If people want to reach out to you, if you guys want help with your energy, getting rid of your energy blocks, where can they find you? Where should people look at you?
Mm-hmm.
Where should they go?
They should go to our website, selfhealthinstitute.com, HEALTH, selfhealthinstitute.com.
Yep. Or go join our Facebook group,
that's even better.
Entrepreneurs Success Lounge.
Entrepreneurs Success Lounge on Facebook.
There you go.
There.
Well, thank you guys so much. To anyone watching this, I obviously sent it to you. If you have any questions on webinars, presentations, live events, feel free to reach out. I would love to have a conversation. Talk to you all soon.
Bye.